Hello, this is Brittany Davault for SPCE 638, Section 806 with Dr. Diana Wilson for Case Study 3. So just to review patient 1, the operational definitions for our targeted behaviors, we have verbal refusal, any instance of, but it's not limited to, patient 1 stating no or I don't want to when a demand is placed. Its function being access to preferred activities and escape from unwanted demands. Then we have fit, any instance of patient 1 crying, screaming, or dropping to the floor for 5 seconds or more, may include property destruction or physical aggression. Its function being escape. Escape and denied access. Originally, as a note, we did have elopement, physical aggression, and property destruction being tracked with her. However, getting the baseline numbers for that, once we had the operational definitions out there, she was no longer engaging in these. So we did not include them in the protocol. So some antecedent interventions listed for verbal refusal. Just to review those, we're going to follow her motivation. We're going to intersperse neutral transitions upstairs so that she does not associate the upstairs with only the restroom. Restroom's a huge trigger for her. And the way our clinic is set up, it's a gross motor room downstairs, our playroom, and then all the bathrooms are located upstairs. Another one for verbal refusal, we will mix and vary demands across the operands. Some for fit are going to be obviously following her motivation. If you do need to transition to the restroom, transition. If you are downstairs, transition upstairs for something neutral first instead of going straight to the bathroom. Another big one for us is using declarative statements instead of questions when demands are placed. We see the Midwest nice. Can you do this? Will you stand up? We're going to use declarative statements, not can you match this versus match this. And obviously adhering to a reinforcement schedule. So reviewing the protocol consequence strategies for verbal refusal. First, we're going to give a statement of affirmation. I understand how you're feeling. Using a first then statement, then utilizing 2 to 3 naturalistic demands to make sure we have compliance. Number 4, attempt to return to the original demand. Reinforce her when she complies with the demand. Caveat with that, if it does spiral into tantrum behavior, we're going to transition to an available room and engage in planned ignoring. And planned ignoring does not include using statements like, no, we don't do that. And then once she is able to talk, return to step 2. When verbal refusal is from denied access, we're going to give a statement of affirmation to give 3 other options of equal value. We're going to continuing offering options of novel activities like coloring, hide and seek with a peer until she chooses. With that, if it does spiral into the tantrum behavior, we're going to do the same thing we did with the escape. We're going to go to a room, engage in planned ignoring, and then engage in an activity she might find reinforcing, keeping ourselves neutral. Once she is able to talk, affirm that it's okay to be sad and she can't have what she wants, but there are the things you like to do, and immediately reinforce when she makes a new choice. Consequence strategy for fit, we're going to provide a statement of affirmation. Use first then statement, get 2 to 3 naturalistic demands to make sure she is compliant. Attempt to return to the original demand and reinforce when she does comply with the demand. If this continues for 10 seconds or more, we're going to transition to an available room. We are going to engage in planned ignoring and engage in an activity that she might find reinforcing. Again, bringing no attention to it, not using statements like, no, we don't do that. And then when she is able to talk, return to step 2. So our methodology used to train and support staff is going to be behavioral skills training. The concept that if you're about to train someone on something, as vague as that sounds, first you're going to explain it, you're going to model it, you're going to practice it with them, and then give them feedback. It's proven to be effective in teaching and maintaining skills. So in the explanation phase, making sure everything that you are telling them is easy to understand, and give as many examples and non-examples as needed for your learner to make sure they can discriminate between an occurrence and a non-occurrence. Modeling, when I talked with my supervisor about all these steps, really making sure that you are highlighting each step, pairing the verbal with the action, what you're doing and providing ample opportunities for questions during this phase. Next, we move on to rehearsal. We're going to give our learners multiple opportunities to practice and also practice in different settings to promote generalization and maintenance. And within that, we're going to give feedback. Also, you want to make sure you're interspersing affirmative and constructive feedback. Nobody wants to hear just how they're doing things wrong. We need to hear how we're doing things right as well. But also, we need to shape behavior. So giving that constructive feedback along with, yeah, you're doing that part right. And then feedback should be immediate and occurring during the rehearsal. So you want to make sure the feedback is paired as closely to each action as possible. So for measuring validity and treatment integrity with us, for us, ideally, we would be doing a trial by trial IOA data, preferably 30% of the time. We also would like to see a BIP and protocol integrity checklist. So we make sure the steps that were laid out, that were written, did they give the first then statement? Did they engage in planned ignoring properly? Check mark for this, minus for that. And between those two, if the staff is falling under 80%, we need to go back to the behavior skills training and retrain. So for the applicable test content items for H1, the steps and actions for staff are to take are observable and measurable. H2, interventions are based on staff skill level and they were tailored to match the functions of the behavior. H3, making other choices when wants were unavailable or self-advocacy mandating to increase adaptive functioning. H4, planning for higher magnitude variance of the behavior within verbal refusal consequences. E10, ensuring parental approval obtained prior to implementation. I5, applied supervisor feedback to written protocol verbiage, definitions, and examples, non-examples. I6, the supervisor sitting one-on-one with me, explaining the rationale behind her decision-making process when writing interventions, and then having me model the same behavior through writing the protocol. And I7, supervisor checking my work to ensure feedback was implemented correctly, and when it was not, further explanation, modeling, and practice were done. Here are my references. Thank you very much.